Okay, today we are going to be talking about Man of Steel, the new Superman movie which just came out last Friday. For those of you who don't know what this movie is about, and I really hope that you're not watching this if you haven't seen it yet, here's a little background of the story. Death from Supernatural became some sort of High Chancellor / leader of Krypton, and works together with Javert from Les Mis, who finally stopped angsting long enough to get some with his wife. Together they produced the future King of Athens, Theseus, who becomes romantically involved with the princess from Enchanted. Together with Morpheus from The Matrix and Roman, the 500-year-old vampire leader from True Blood, they fight off the forces of the evil wannabe gangster from Kangaroo Jack and save all of humanity from certain destruction. Another thing that I learned from this movie is that unless you go out in the sunlight, you can never become a superhero, because how else are you supposed to absorb the sun's rays and become superpowered? In other words, vloggers and bloggers will never become superheroes because we don't go outside. Now, if you are a Superman fan, then you probably loved this movie because this movie did everything. This movie very, very well explained the background story against General Zod, and I cannot express how happy I am about that, because in the past movies, I felt like it didn't make much sense, and I've read the comic books. The other nice part about this movie is that even though I knew the story of Superman, as any good comic geek would, I felt like I didn't know the story of Superman when I was watching this movie. I mean, it was really just such a fresh take on everything. I mean, they took away all of the very stereotypical Lex Luthor and Lois gets kidnapped and, oh, look, some kryptonite to make Superman feel weak, and, oh, Superman's such a Boy Scout because he's such a good boy. I mean, it kind of gets to the point where Superman is so perfect that you start to kind of hate him a little bit, and I feel like this movie kind of brought out that darker edge to Superman, and I really, really enjoyed it. You might hear some people comparing Man of Steel to Batman Begins for the Superman trilogy, and I would say I agree 100%. If the second movie is anything like The Dark Knight, it is going to be so successful and amazing, and oh, I cannot wait! And if you are someone who very much likes battles, you need to see this movie most definitely, if only just for that, because the aerial battles in this movie were beautiful, and I am so glad that they brought on the people from 300 for this, because it was fantastic. And I have a little bit of a theory that Christopher Nolan decided to call up Michael Bay within that last hour of the movie and said, "Hey Michael, how do we destroy all of Metropolis?" And then I'm pretty sure Michael Bay said, "Oh, well, that's very easy, really. You have them make this machine that sort of just smashes everything around it until there's nothing left." Okay, but what about afterwards? We have some buildings left? Like, what do we do with those? Oh, you have buildings left? That's easy. Zod didn't get transported back to the prison, so what we're going to do is have Zod and Superman fight it out and destroy whatever is left. Except for the Daily Planet. That can stay. And that is the last hour of the movie. And of course you have to appreciate all of the little Easter eggs that were placed inside of this movie, from the LexCorp car that was completely smashed during one of the battles, to the Star Labs nod in one of the conversations, and even the satellite that was destroyed up in space said Wayne Enterprises on the side, which might be a little bit of a hint for the Justice League movie that's in the planning at the moment. And really, if they keep going this direction with all the DC movies, I could see the Justice League being extremely successful, because this kind of darker approach to the comic books is a really nice contrast to the more comedic approach that the Marvel movies tend to have. Except for Iron Man 3. But overall, I think you get what I'm saying about the DC versus Marvel thing. And I think the last point that I have to bring up is, of course, for my feminist side, Lois Lane was absolutely wonderful in this movie. She was strong and independent, and she wasn't completely useless like she has been in the past, which was one thing that always kind of bothered me about Lois Lane. No, that girl took the reins and she just ran with it. She said, if I'm gonna be dating that badass with that hot bod that's not all CGI, then I gotta be a badass too. So overall, guys, if you are a Superman fan, and if you're not a Superman fan, I highly recommend going to see this movie, because you will not be disappointed by it. It was fantastic, it was beautiful, and I can't wait to see another one. That's all I got for this one, so until next time, live long and prosper, bitches. do do do.